Year 10, I just wanted to take a little bit of time to discuss the project, the planning of the project, and what you can do. So this initial planning part is not a huge part of the project. It's a minor part that we do beforehand. However, in year 11, it is an assessment task. And so I just kind of want to get you familiar with some of the terms that we'll be talking about later on, some of the things that are required there, and just kind of get some practice in for creating a project and what kind of planning we do. So I've actually got this open already here. I've got one that I started working on in the previous video, but of course there was no sound to it. Just make it not sure it's not muted. No, it's all good. And you've all got this template here. So the first question in this template is a little bit of research to actually find out what a platform game is. And so what I'm asking you to do here is to describe a platform game. Another word for this might be, or another way to say this might be, what are some conventions of a platform game? What are some things that make a platform game a platform game? So we might say that it has platforms that a player can run and jump on. They typically move from left to right. They collect coins. They sometimes can jump on enemies in order to destroy them. There's usually multiple levels. Levels have a theme. There's loads of different things that we could write here. So that's what I want you to write about and give some examples. So some examples of some platform games might be Sonic the Hedgehog, might be Super Mario Brothers. There's probably plenty of other ones that you've played, even Flash games. Some of those are going to be, what's that, Fireboy and Water Girl game that I've seen you play sometimes. That's an example of a platform game. So this is just a little bit of research about that. Then we want to think about, well, what do we need to make a platform game? What kind of assets are we going to need in order to make one? And so this was the list that I came up with in class. And the first thing was a tile set. So a tile set is a selection of graphics that can be put together to design a level. So that's what a tile set is. And I'll talk about that one more in a minute. We've got the main character sprite, and we need these 3 animations with it. If it has more, that's fine. If you want to use more, that's fine, but these are the essential ones that we need. We need jumping, we need running, and we need standing, sometimes called idle animations. Now we need some enemies. So we need 2 types of enemies at the least. We need a ground monster and we need a flying monster, at least for the project that we're going to be making. You'll be able to add some more. Now I've called them monster, but they could be anything. Okay, it could be an evil car, it could be an angry monkey. It doesn't matter what it is. We need to find a suitable font that's going to be on the screen that displays our score, whatever. And I'm just going to open up another tab here, and I'm going to bring out a website in a sec that we can make a suitable font. And I'm going to add here, and you can add in yours, title font. Suitable font and a title font. I'll show you a cool place where you can make a decent title font there. We're going to need some kind of collectible item. So for example, a coin. It doesn't have to be coins. Maybe you're picking up something else. Maybe you're picking up med kits. Maybe you're picking up rubbish. Okay, collecting rubbish, cleaning up the place. There's lots of things that we can do with that. Power up sprite, extra lives, bonus score, etc. Now, I guess one thing that I forgot here, and what I think you should add in, I'm just going to switch over to mine. What is a platform game? We're going to add in a slide in here. And so I'd like to add a slide in your one, which is the theme. Okay? Now, I'm not going to get you to get feedback on this particular idea. I just want you to think of a theme that you can come up with. So it could be a theme that you can base your game around. So it could be something like Dr. Zanbar wants to clean up the beach. He will run about collecting litter before heading off to the next level. Something simple, really simple like that. You can maybe make it a little bit longer. You don't need a huge plot. You just need to have a theme there. So what I've got here in my theme already is I can see that I'm going to have a beach scene. So I'm going to need some beach tile sets or something that looks beach-like. I'm going to need a doctor as my player sprite. I'm going to need some litter as a thing. So it doesn't necessarily have to be litter. It could just be food lying around the place, and there's plenty of food sprites. And that's it. Maybe I can add some stuff about monsters here. There are, I'm not sure what we can say. There are seagulls that will try to take his chips, and crabs that bite his feet. There we go. Okay, so there's a simple little theme, and it's going to cover most of this stuff that I need here. In the future, what we would normally do is come up with multiple ideas and get feedback off them and decide which is the best idea to proceed ahead with. But for now, I'm just going to let you go with this. Think of something sensible, because you have to be able to actually find the graphics. So if you call it like Dr. Meme wants to make new memes and it's all about silly memes, you're going to have an impossible time finding sprites that match those things in particular. Don't take that as a challenge. I'm telling you not to do it. Okay, so you should be thinking of something sensible. We've got here, what are the assets that we needed? So this is what I want you to do on these pages here. So for platform sprites, all we need to do is really just find some examples. Now these aren't beach examples. Find some examples, paste a link to them, and then paste a screenshot of them. You do not need to download the files because we pasted a link there so we can get them later. And later on, we're going to come back to this and actually comment on them once we've done that. And we'll do that in a group, or I'll prepare some work for you after the holidays is over. I think you can do this in the next couple of days if you get the opportunity, because I had originally intended to do it in the last few days of school, which was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but there was no one there. We weren't able to be at school, so we can do this now because you had the last 3 days of not doing anything. So if I go to this website here, itch.io, okay, on the left-hand side, just be careful, don't just scroll down here and get excited and see all the cool stuff. You want to go to game assets on the left, and then you want to go to free. And you can see I already grabbed that one there, but there might be something better, something that suits my theme a little bit more. I'm going to guess that there's probably not many beach themes here. So I might need to consider, there's one that's got some beach stuff on it, but this one here is a top-down tile set. This is another thing you'll need to consider. Okay, so there's beach tiles there, but it's top-down. So what's the difference? Top-down is like your bird's eye kind of action RPG adventure, whereas platform is side-on. So you'll want to find sprites that are side-on sprites. Okay, so that's something to consider when you're looking through here. And say I like this castle. I like this castle. I'm just going to grab one of these images, copy image, go back to here. I'll paste it in here somewhere. And I'll paste a link to that, which is this one here, this link here. I'll just go into here. And if you just click nowhere and hit Control V, it will paste a new text box with your link in it. Okay, it doesn't have to be neat. We've just got a few different things there, and we can come back and look at those at a later date. Now, the main character, similar to the previous slide, find a main character with run, jump, and idle animations. You can filter on this website. So at the top here, you can select filter and look through and so on, but sometimes it's easier just to kind of scroll down. So if I click this, maybe I want to have skeleton as my main animation. So what have we got? We've got idle, walk, attack. He doesn't have a jump animation. That doesn't necessarily mean you can't use it, okay? Because you may be able to, if we look at this sprite here just by itself, or even this one here, we might be able to imagine, well, if he's jumping up, he might look something like that. And so we don't necessarily have to have a full jump animation. We could just take one of these sprites if it looks like it could be used to jump with. There's loads of them on here. If I get this one, we've got a little dude. He's got idle, run, jump, and he's also got a ledge grab animation. Not all of them are shown there, but he does have those. And so you want to get links to those and a screenshot. You do not need to get the files. There's no point in getting the files at the moment. Okay, Okay, so take your time and go through and find the sprites that you need. And then once you've done that, you probably want to find 2 or 3 for each of these. For the monster ones don't need jumping, running, and standing animations. They can just have moving. They could have attack if you want, but for most of them, they're just going to be moving, kind of patrolling, and so on. These ones here, once again, left and right animations. Well, you don't need to have left and right. It can just be one because we can flip the sprites. So that's not a problem. But you need to come up with a few different ideas for a ground monster and a flying monster. Now, a suitable font. We'll go to, there is I think it's called TextCraft. Yeah, it is. It's textcraft.net. And this website here is pretty good for making up a title for your game. So maybe my game's called Dr. Zanbar. I don't know if that's a thing. It was just the first thing that came to my mind. And I click create. Dr. Zanbar cleans the beach. Create. So I get a little title up here. You can play around with these settings. Decide you want to have a thicker underline there. Maybe you want it really, oops, I want to have that tiny. The bit at the top there, like number 1, make it extra large. These mega ones you have to pay for. I'll make the outline on it a bit thicker, change the theme here. There's all these different fonts you can use down the bottom. You can change the theme, and when you're done, you click the button that says download, and then you've got that image. So you can create a title for that. The other option is to use Dafont, D-A-F-O-N-T, and this might be one that you can use and find. It's a nice font there. This might be one that you can use and find, especially under pixel bitmap, a font that's going to be good for displaying your score. Okay, this second one here looks pretty good, Minecraft, and these numbers are really what we're looking at there, but also the text, make sure it's readable. This could be suitable. Okay, I've actually seen that in a lot of older games. That's a pretty good one. That's kind of useless. That's dumb. You're looking for an arcade font like this, just something nice, simple, clean, easy to read. And then collectible items. So in here, you can see free pixel food. That would be perfect for me on my beach game, putting down different foods that you could pick up. But you might want something else. So have a look around here and see. This goes on and on and on and on and on for ages. Just be aware that make sure your in-game assets free, or else you'll get games, and there's 10,000 things on this website. So just be prepared to scroll down a little bit. Power up sprite, extra lives, bonus score, etc. You can find some sprites that will match your theme. You will need to add new slides. Okay, so I might add a new slide, and this is going to be power up. Okay, once you've done that, if you have any questions about it, send it through to me. You can click share up there, or you can click turn in, or you can just email me, because on the classroom, if I go to student work, I can see all your stuff here. So if you just let me know, or put a question, if I, for example, click here, and you type a comment down here, I'll get a notification about that, and then I can respond to you. Okay, I'll either respond in an email. If I get a whole lot of questions that are very similar, I'll make another video on it. But I think that's all for now. If you have any questions, let me know. We want to finish this plan in about 2 weeks. I'm going to start going over the actual project and how to put it together. So that'll be next term after these holidays, which have been moved forward. But if you can finish up the platform game design by then, which this is not a large thing, this could be done in 5 or 10, maybe 30 minutes, let's say 30 minutes, if you're pretty quick. And I would give it a little bit longer than that though, probably an hour, but it's not a massive task to do this. The actual game that we're going to build will take a little bit longer using GDevelop. You will be able to use it even if you don't have a Windows computer or Mac computer at home. If you've got Chrome OS, it does run on Chrome OS, but it only runs in the browser. So what I mean by that is I'll just go to GDevelop. I still want you to plan for this though, even though if I click try it online, close, and I'll go create a new project, and I'll go empty game. So I've got all this stuff here. I'll add a scene and I go into here and I add a new object and I add a sprite and I add an animation and I add this and I want to upload my own one. Too bad. Sorry, you can't. You can only pick from the sprites that are built in. However, that's not a problem. You can still make the game. Later on when we get to school, if we've got time, you can add in your own graphics. Okay, but I still want you to plan for your own one. I still want you to take the time to plan out your own one. Think about what graphics you could use if you were able to. But as for doing the project, you will be able to do it. Well, you'll just be limited to these sprites. And there's quite a few in there. You've seen these before. We've used some of these up here. So we've got the little walking guy. We've got the flying guy. We've got some different platforms. We've got the dude that stand, jump, and the walk or run animation. So you'll be able to follow along without a problem and then add your own stuff to it after that. All right, that's it. I'm done. And I'll talk to you again in about 2 weeks.